Today we're going to talk about Wild Hearts on Xbox Series S, Series X, and PlayStation 5. Before I do get into the technical comparison, I want to talk a little bit about the game. Wild Hearts is EA's crack at the Monster Hunter genre. From the gameplay to even the visual style, this game looks pretty similar to Monster Hunter Rise. Even the whole dynamic of the hunt is based on the same blueprint. Now, EA did build on that Monster Hunter blueprint and have added their own twist to this game. First of all, the world of Wild Hearts seems a lot bigger and a lot more open world. That open world does look visually gorgeous at times. Other times though, the game looks just like another last-gen PS4 or Xbox One game. You also interact a lot more with the environments. The environments, by the way, are destructible. You can also build objects and even interact with these objects while you're hunting monsters. In Monster Hunter Rise, you go back to the village after every hunt. In Wild Hearts, that's not really the case because your camp is movable and you do actually build your camp as well, and you can choose multiple camp locations throughout this massive map. Now, Wild Hearts is a pretty massive game in terms of the gameplay. There's all these different play styles and weapons, and I've personally just barely scratched the surface with this game. But from what I've seen, I do like it. The combat feels as though you're in more control of your hero than the Capcom's Monster Hunter games. Technically, this game has a lot going on and it's pretty ambitious on how the environments themselves are interactive. Now, this can lead to some funny graphic bugs, like this right here where I'm climbing out of place or pretty much invisible tree. So let's talk about the technical details and how the game runs on all the current gen consoles. Keep in mind, it is a current gen exclusive and it's not available on the PS4 or Xbox One. If you're on the fence about this game, you can download a 10-hour trial through Xbox Game Pass or EA Play. So perhaps that's worth checking out before you actually make your purchase. The game itself is about 73 gigabytes on the Series S and X and 55 gigabytes on the PlayStation 5. Now let's look at loading times. Series S starts up the fastest, taking 59 seconds from dashboard. PS5 takes 1 minute and 4 seconds. Series X is the slowest, taking 1 minute and 14 seconds. So the startup times aren't the quickest, but once you do get into the game, there's not really much loading. Things like fast travel are pretty quick, taking only 3 seconds on the Series S and about 4 seconds on the Series X and PlayStation 5. As you saw, the startups from dashboard were a bit slow. You can speed that up by using Quick Resume on Xbox and activity cards on PS5. Quick Resume is much better, taking only 9 seconds to switch from one game to Wild Hearts. Series X takes 13 seconds. PS5 doesn't save much time here with activity cards. It still takes about 54 seconds to get in the game. So loading time wise, the advantage is the Xbox Series S. Unfortunately, the Series S performs significantly worse when it comes to the actual game, the resolution, the frame rate. There isn't a performance mode on the Series S and there's no settings to adjust anything. The frame rate is locked to 30 FPS. Now, it is a stable 30 FPS for the most part. You may still see some dips to 29 at times. The resolution seems to be 1080p at best, but I'm pretty sure it's lower than that. The game does look pretty blurry on the Series S. In fact, I would advise you turn off motion blur for a better experience. Here you can see a side-by-side comparison with and without motion blur on the Series S. On the more powerful Series X and PlayStation 5, there are two graphics modes, resolution and performance. Resolution offers the highest visual fidelity, 4K with the frame rate locked at 30 FPS. Here's a side-by-side comparison of PS5 and Series X comparing this resolution, and even when zooming in at about 4 times, both the consoles seem to be similar in terms of that. Now here I did include the Series X for the comparison just to show how much of a difference there is. Series S is blurry. I mean, you don't even have to zoom in 4 times to show that. Now the frame rate is compared here between the Series X and PS5. It does seem to be a bit more stable on PlayStation 5, stays at 30 FPS at almost all times without that minor stutters into the 29. Now all the footage I've showed so far is after the day one patch, and if you do see some outlets reviewing this and showing the frame rate before that patch, it's gonna look a little different. The pre-patch version is shown right here in resolution mode, and that frame rate actually was unlocked, similar to what EA did for Dead Space. You can see the significant frame rate fluctuations here before that day one patch, so I'm glad they fixed it and it's now locked at 30 FPS. The second graphics mode on Series X and PS5 is performance. This is meant to be 1080p resolution and 60 frames per second. Here's the resolution comparison. I did include the Series X here again, and even against the lower performance mode resolution, you can see the Series S being more blurry. So I suspect the Series S running at 720p resolution for this game. Series X and PS5 seem to have similar resolutions when you compare them. The frame rate comparison between the Series X and PS5 is up on the screen now. Both the Series X and PS5 cannot hold a solid 60 FPS. There are drops on both of the consoles into the 50s. The PlayStation 5 does seem to be slightly more stable, but it's not a huge difference. So there you have it, the performance of Wild Hearts on the three consoles, Series S, Series X, and PlayStation 5. Now I want to go back to where we started, comparing Wild Hearts performance to Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter Rise performs at a much more stable 60 FPS, and you can even run that game at ultra high 120 FPS, even on the less powerful Xbox Series S. So from a sheer frame rate per second standpoint, Monster Hunter Rise is more polished. But I guess one can argue that Wild Hearts looks and acts like a more demanding game. Now some of you might be wondering about the PC version. Although I didn't play it myself on PC, I'm hearing others running into performance issues with this game. Even with higher end cards like the RTX 3080, there seems to be some performance issues. So it looks like EA does have some room to improve when it comes to the performance of this game. So that's really it for the commentary. For the rest of the video, I'm going to show off some more side-by-side comparisons between the three consoles, the Series X, Series S, and PlayStation 5.